Hello, my adult crafters. Thank you for joining me tonight for another craft with the Pittston Memorial Library. Today we're going to be making wind chimes, but before I get into that, thank you to Miss Patricia for covering for me last month and making those lovely eggs with us. Hopefully she'll be back. We found that she was very popular, so if you want to send her any fan mail, you can direct that right to the library. I'm sure she'd love to read it, or in the comments too. We like that too. But in any case, yep, we're making wind chimes tonight. So for those of you who have already seen a little bit about the event on Facebook and wherever else we're advertising, you might have already had a chance to pick up a craft bag to go with tonight's activity. But in case you haven't, I just kind of want to do a little rundown of the supplies. And as always, the things that we're making are up to interpretation, so you can do what we're doing, or you can certainly put your own sort of spin on it. But all of the supplies that we have tonight are pretty accessible. You can get them at the dollar store or a craft store, or maybe you just want to upcycle stuff from around the house, which is a big part of tonight's craft. And as you all know, I love it. I love to reuse. It makes it a little bit better for the environment. And I think you have the opportunity to make something cool. So I'm talked enough. Quick rundown of supplies. In your bag, or if you want to grab the supplies yourself, you're going to need a branch. I used some from outside. My dad cut these for us, so thank you, Dad. He was doing a little bit of pruning, so that helped us out a little bit. You're also going to need 3 pieces of old silverware. It doesn't matter what kind it is. I don't recommend butter knives or knives of any kind, but like any kind of fork or spoon will work. We're not focused on pattern. You're also going to need either some beads. This is what some of our adults have in their craft bag, or I'm recommending seashells. If you don't have any of these things, really anything that just kind of looks interesting. I've seen people use old keys, little knickknacks. The vibe we're going for with this design is something a little bit like eclectic and random objects kind of thing. You're also going to need fishing line. Oh, and I just want to point out here, because maybe you didn't see, on our silverware, I also wrapped around, just to keep everything intact, some wire. We're going to use that to secure our forks to or spoons to our wind chime. You should have 3, so there's going to be 1 for each piece of silverware that you have. Let me see, what else did I miss? You're also going to get a few little small beads like this. This is just going to be for decorative purposes. And let me see what else. Fishing line. I'm not sure if I got that one, but we're going to use fishing line, and we're going to use some regular string. So as I said, you can kind of just leave that up to interpretation. Use what you have in the house, and yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so let's get started. So as I mentioned before, all of you are going to have at least 3 pieces of silverware in your bags, those of you who were able to pick up the craft. Those of you who are working on this craft with whatever supplies you have from home, you can do the 3 pieces of silverware like I talked about, or if you want to do a few more, that's up to you, however the spirit moves you. But in any case, I'm just going to show you what I did with our craft here. So we have our spoon here, and you might get a fork or whatever. Also, I'm not recommending knives. They're just a little bit, dicey. I wouldn't want a flying knife falling off my porch. That sounds like a liability. But fork or a spoon sounds a little bit better. So yeah, you're going to get your wire that we talked about here. Ours is a little bit bent, but that's perfectly okay, because it's just going to be wrapped around the spoon, and there's no need to be too fancy about it. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to start by wrapping my wire just at the base of the spoon. If you find that you have a longer piece of silverware or a shorter one and it's just not like matching up with the piece of wire that you have cut, just kind of, you know, wiggle it to adjust for the size of the spoon or the knife, or not the knife, the fork. So you're gonna go ahead and wrap around the base of the spoon. And I talked about the beads that you're gonna get in your kit, those of you who are using the kits. They're gonna look like this, if you can kind of see. Let me see what I'm talking about here. The rest of you might just be familiar with these from like any kind of craft that your kids might have come across, you know, like friendship bracelet kind of things. Sometimes they're so small you don't know what to do with them. But for this kind of craft, it's really great. They slide really nicely right down the wire, as I'm doing right here. So if you want, you can go ahead and take those beads and just kind of make your spoon a little bit extra, a little pop, little zhuzh here, and you know, wrap around as you're going. So you can just leave it as one accent piece like I'm gonna do, or you can, you know, however you wanna do it, multiple spots. But when you get to the back here, I want you to leave a little bit of wire if you can, because we're going to need to build just kind of like a little bit of a loop so that we have something to grab our fishing wire onto later. So it doesn't have to be perfect or fancy or anything like that, just as long as you have some kind of secure spot. See, I'm even gonna just twist this around here, just something that, you know, it can be suspended from. So we're gonna just put that down a second. And I'm gonna go for my fishing line. Now I have it on a spool here. Those of you at home might have fishing line, or if you wanna just keep extra around just in case. The rest of you, I gave you a little bit of a sizable amount of fishing line. And what you're gonna wanna do is just cut a good size length. This is going to be where your spoon is going to suspend from. So we're gonna try real hard and believe in ourselves and hope this doesn't get tangled on the camera here. We're gonna do our best. Okay, so you're gonna take that end of the fishing line and you're just going to run it through the loop that we made on the back of the spoon. And just tie a couple of knots just for some security here. Just to make sure that nothing is sliding. So, you know, I'd tie it multiple times. But whatever you think, if you want to, you know, test that out, or you feel like you want to put some glue or something on there just to make it sure that it holds in place there, you can definitely do that. Okay, so you're just going to tie that until it's nice and secure. Let's put that to the side. So this is my other spoon that I've already done here. It looks just like the one we just did here. And I have also started my third one, and I'm going to show you that in a second, but I want to show you first our branch here. So I have already tied that third spoon to the branch, and as you can see, I took more of those beads and I got a little bit fancy, and I'll show you how we did that. So just because, you know, I don't want to get too wild and crazy, we're going to make our middle one plain first. We're not going to put any beads on that one. So just like we did on the back of the spoon there, you're just going to tie a basic knot. And if you think about any kind of wind chime that you've purchased from the store or you've seen, you know, your neighbors have, none of the lengths of the chime part are perfectly lined up. That's what's creating, you know, the sound and, you know, just the different kind of vibes going on here. So we don't need to worry about making sure everything is nice and even. You can create some dimension, make one a little bit longer, make one a little bit shorter. And if you want to even change that up a little bit, like make this middle guy shorter, you can wrap your spoon around your branch there, you know, once or twice if you need to, and then just tie that knot again. So I'll show you. So I wrapped it around there. Oops. And I'm just going to tie another knot with that excess. And it also creates just a little bit of extra security. We'll do a second one. And then, you know, at the end, we'll cut off our excess. Now, to get fancy, we have our third spoon here. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go in and we're going to tie our knot kind of near the end here. And I want to also point out, before I get too far into it, that I did leave a little bit of space between both of my spoons. As you can see here, we kind of spaced them out because we're going to talk about the third part here that we're going to do. But let's talk about our beads first. So, okay, let me see. I'm going in, let me zoom in, that might be easier. We're going to first just tie a basic knot, get everything nice and secure the way we want. And you guys might have an easier time, you know, obviously you can pick this up and hold it, see where you want to be. I'm like playing with the camera here. But okay, we tied our basic knot just like that, and we're gonna go in and get some more beads. We're gonna go, let's do some more of this blue. And you're just gonna string them through. One, oops. And I should point out at this point that you can really use any kind you want. If you find some other kind of decoration that you want to try, go ahead and do it. But we're going to string these through like I'm doing here. And they slide on just really easily like they did before with the wire. But what we're going to do is we're just going to wrap it around again. And we can, you know, wiggle our knot from before down a little bit so we can have our beads more pronounced to the front if that's, you know, what you want to do. But basically, we're just going to need to tie another knot. See, if you can see that that was the excess. We're wrapping it around here. So it wraps the branch. And then just to secure it, we're going to tie it to the end of the string that is holding our spoon. And then we're going to knot it again 2 or 3 times just to make sure that everything is in place and nothing is sliding. Okay, so that is good there. Now, let me talk to you guys really quickly about what's going to be included in your bags, those of you who are using kits. Some of you are going to have a string of beads, well, not a string, but you're going to have a bunch of beads. You can take the rest of that fishing line that we talked about and you can string it like I've done here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that that bunch of beads and you're going to tie it again to the middle of the branch here. So that's going to go in between your middle spoon and your right or left. But first I want to trim this excess because I think we're going to get all confused and we're going to have a knot. So we don't want that. So don't be like me. If you feel secure, try to trim off those edges because we don't want a disaster because we'll all be crying. Okay, so then you're going to take this middle bead here and you're going to secure it to the middle of the branch between those 2 spoons. And I'm gonna say, again, like knot it 2 or 3 times. Okay, so that's an easy one. Let me see if I can pull this up a little bit. I'm going to show you what this looks like in full later, but your beads will kind of hang out in between your spoons there. And if you can kind of, you know, hear it, I'm going to show you a better picture, but they're going to go between those two spoons. And then, you know, you got a little cute design there for that one. Or if you don't have the beads in your pack, you can you're going to have seashells. So if you can see what I've done here, I had the seashells with the holes here at the library, and I separated them all for you. If you did not get one with a hole, it was because I temporarily lost my mind and mixed up my piles. But in any case, yeah, you can just loop the fishing line through the seashells here, and just kind of however you want to do it, a little haphazardly, just tie knots, and you can have this kind of like draping effect here. So I'm going to tie this to the other end, and so you guys can kind of get the idea of that. But both are very beautiful. So if you're picking up kits, no matter which one you get, I think they're both going to look really nice, especially with this summery weather coming up, and then, you know, you can enjoy them. So again, you're just going to knot the seashell string. Don't say that 5 times fast. I don't know if I can do it again. But you're going to knot them between the other 2 spoons here. And I'm going to pause my camera here so we can see what our finished product looks like. And there you have it. There is our wind chime. I decided that I would move outside just so you guys can kind of get a good idea of what it looks like. And we have a lovely breeze coming through, so you can kind of hear it clanking a little bit. So those of you who are getting a kit, just a general reminder again that you're going to get a bead or a seashell pack. So I'm going to take that one away. You can kind of see what that would look like. You'll just put a second strand of seashells in the middle there where those beads were, and vice versa. You would just have another strand of beads here. But really, really lovely, a great addition to your porch. And just as a final thing up here, if you can see, I just tied a little bit of rope. This is kind of like a butcher rope or a yarn kind of thing. And I just wrapped it around a couple times and tied it up, and then just kind of did the same on the other side. But that is our craft. We hope that you guys give this a try. It's a great opportunity to upcycle some stuff you no longer use, like your silverware, some shells from the beach, jewelry, that kind of thing. Even keys are great. And here comes the wind again, so I think we're gonna be enjoying this today. So we hope that you guys take advantage of this, and if you do it and you want to share pictures, we'd love to see them. So send those along to the library. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.